Good evening. Welcome to the Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority.
Recording in progress.
Agenda. Today is Tuesday, January the 4th, 2022. It is 5:30 p.m. and I will call roll call. Javier Moreno, Mayor here. Camilo Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem. Raul Ureña, Council Member.
Here.
Gloria Romo, Council Member.
Here.
And Rosie Arreola Fernandez, Council Member.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Call to order. Due to the declaration of emergency, this meeting is being held pursuant to authorization from the Governor's executive orders. Some or all of the City Council members may participate in this meeting by teleconference as authorized by Executive Order N2920, issued by Governor of California on March 17, 2020. Pursuant to Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines, City Council meetings are now open for public attendance at 100% of capacity of the City Council chambers, and all persons entering City Hall will be required to wear a face mask. Public participation will continue to be available in the following ways. Members of the public are encouraged to watch the meeting via live stream at http://communityspectrum.org live at 5:30 p.m. or via the Calexico City Hall Facebook page at www.facebook.com, City of Calexico, California. Members of the public will be able to make public comments in the following ways. In person, submit public comments via email by 2 p.m. on Tuesday, January 4th, 2020 to our city clerk at ggarcia@calexicoca.gov or via fax to 760-768-2103. And via Zoom, either from a Mac, PC, iPad, or Android device by using the following link. The meeting ID for that is 840-2666-6814, and the passcode is 346353. And please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Garcia, can you help us with that? Thank you. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We now have the mission statement. Mr. Ureña, can you help us with that?
City of Calexico mission statement. Together we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico.
Thank you, Mr. Ureña. And now, please sit down. The next item is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Anybody?
Second.
Second by who? Ms. Aurora Fernandez. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexicoca.gov the Friday the following City Council meetings. Now we have public comments and public appearances. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the City Council on special agenda items. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the City Council meeting with personal or slanderous remark. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. And I do have 1, 2, 3. The first one's going to be Mr. Morris Ryson, followed by Mr. Bill Hodge, and then we have the last with Ms. Joshua panel. Yes.
We're on the agenda.
For second item.
Second item. Oh, okay.
Does it work that way tonight?
But I'm following it through right here like this. Oh, the agenda? Okay. You also? Sure. Okay. You have, on item number 2 as well? Okay. Thank you. So we have for discussion and potential action items. Number 1 is appointment of Gonzalo Gerardo as an inter-police chief pursuant to Government Code Section 7522.56 and 2122.1H.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, members of the community that are with us today. As we know, and as we've been talking for the past months, we're currently going through an active recruitment process for our next police chief. As a result of the investment the city of Calexico has made to secure the services of our next chief of police, we are going to be having initial reviews of potential candidates in the coming weeks. As a result of that, and wanting to make sure that we have consistency in the leadership of our department and complying with all the obligations that we have as a city with CalPERS, today before you, you have an item in which we are requesting, as an administration, your consideration so we can retain the professional services of Gonzalo Gerardo for the time being, as your staff report reads, until the recruitment of the next police chief is completed. The reason for this is because we know Mr. Gerardo has served in that role for the past years, and we want to make sure that we have the continuity that's needed within the department.
Okay, in discussion?
No. I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, motion by Ariola Fernandez to approve item number 1, and second by
Second.
Ms. Romo. Discussion, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried 5-0, thank you. Okay, then let me just call out item number 2. Item number 2 is discussion and possible action to direct city staff and city attorney to prepare a resolution designating the members of city council as eligible workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 pandemic pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, it is your discretion if you wish to first take public comments and then discuss as a council the item.
Okay, we'll take public comments. Mr. Morris Reisinger first.
Only a few people here, the city councilman, had COVID. Well, I had it May 2020. And I'll tell you, I was like that. I was phase 4, ready to go. And yet, I still attended meetings back home. So I feel that we deserve this. We deserve this article because it was hell. It was hell for me. But I don't like to miss meetings. I have an obligation, and I was here. Not here physically. I was here to vote. So I feel that, we deserve it. We deserve that. We're employed. They took taxes off our stipends. Everything worked for us. So we work for you guys. That's all. We need that. We deserve it.
Thank you.
Please take into consideration that we were employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reisinger.
Thank you.
We now have Mr. Bill Hodge. I should say former Mayor, Mr. Bill Hodge.
Well, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good evening, City Council, and Mayor, and City Manager, Mr. Figueroa, everyone. I believe strongly that I concur with former Councilman Morris Reisen that we definitely qualify for this this grant or whatever the form it's coming in on COVID-19. Well, first of all, let me just say about myself, and then I'll speak for others. But I took the lead, along with City Manager Figueroa, to produce, edit, research a video production on COVID-19. It consisted of the important critical information that was coming forward for the community and the safety precautions that we had to make. And so it was relatively successful, and I worked hard on it, and we all did. And Mr. Risen, former Councilman Risen, was involved also later on when he was relatively cured from COVID-19. So I believe that we definitely, I myself and Councilman Risen and everybody, the whole council of 2019-2020 deserves this. City Manager Mr. Figueroa, I believe, can attest or confirm that, because I worked closely with City Manager Figueroa on the video production. And not only that, but remember, this was the first year, and this was uncharted territory. Nobody had ever experienced this before. Every year has been challenging and difficult, but I would say that this particular first year was more challenging. So I implore you to please consider our contributions and our hard work of that year and towards COVID-19 and public safety and public information. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one's up is Mr. Joshua Paddle.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me well with this? I guess I was initially coming up here to speak on just the interim chief for the police department, and just a couple comments, I guess, from the fire department side. No disrespect, I know their chief, definitely qualified individual, tons of experience, and nothing ill will towards him whatsoever. We just kind of had not concerns, or I guess kind of questions on why we're creating the position when we're still 7 firefighters short. On the interim, I know it's just for a little bit of a time and just for a little bit, and we're just kind of hoping that doesn't follow in or continue after the fact that we hire a head department for the police chief. We've kind of experienced that with a couple of departments before. We've hired a consultant, and it's continued after the department head has been hired. I guess I just more concerned about that a little bit, and like you said in the beginning, though, it's until the point of when we hire a police chief. So that kind of cleared that up a little bit. But I guess our concern was again, are we creating positions when we still have tons of positions to be filled? Back in 2010, we were 10, 10, 10 on each shift. That's 7 short. Even though we're hiring one right now, it's still 6 short. And again, I guess we're just kind of see why that is more so than we're creating positions right now. And if that's going to continue, like other departments who continued with their consultants 4 years after the department heads have been hired. But I guess we'll see in time, but that's already been cleared up a little bit. But that's pretty much the comment we had to, pretty much all we had to say on that. But I guess more creative position when ours has been filled, it takes such a long time for us to fill our positions, and it seems, I know it's a police chief, it's a more important position, but we're still waiting from August when a guy has left in our department, and it still hasn't come yet, even though we're getting one pretty soon. But we're still got a long road ahead, so we just wanted to kind of come up here and voice that a little bit. So, and then just real question, is the second agenda item, is that for, I'm sorry, I didn't get much info on it. Is that for everybody up here for the ARPA money? Okay, all right, just a question. All right, guys, thank you very much. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll open up for
Mayor,
discussion.
I'm sorry.
I
have the 3 that were received via email.
Okay.
First one was received from Ryan McKeegan, and it says, "Attention City Council, my name is Ryan McKeegan. I medically retired from the Calexico Fire Department in July 2021 after 16 years of service. I was employed as an essential worker throughout the pandemic, March 2020, through my retirement in July 2021. In that time frame, I served as a liaison for the City of Calexico to the Imperial County Emergency Operations Center as a logistics section chief for the City of Calexico EOC, and as a first responder assigned to a rescue ambulance. My primary duties as both a liaison logistics section chief were to ensure that all city departments and employees were represented and had the necessary emergency supplies to keep themselves safe in the performance of their daily duties. During the pandemic, in addition to running fire calls, I would like to know if I qualify as an essential employee for the ARPA funding retro payment of $7,000. Thank you, Ryan McKeegan. Next comment is from Ms. Monica Silva. Honorable Mayor and City Council, my name is Monica Silva, former city employee. I retired from the City of Calexico May 15, 2021. I was working with the City of Calexico as an essential employee during the pandemic in March 2020 to May 2021. I would like to know if I qualify for the ARPA funding retro pay. Thank you. And the final is from Daniela Flores. Good evening, members of the City Council and the community in attendance. My name is Daniela Flores, a community health advocate with Salud Sin Fronteras and Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition, and previously a planning commissioner for the City of Calexico. I am also a public health professional that has been responding to the pandemic to address issues of health equity in this county. I am writing to comment on item 2, discussion and possible action on direction of staff city attorney to prepare resolution designating the members of the City Council as eligible workers performing essential work during COVID-19 pandemic pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act. I'm here to urge this council to hold off on taking any premature vote on this item today before discussing ARPA more holistically and bringing the community along. The question isn't really if the city's employees or council members deserve some premium pay. The real question is why grocery workers, farm workers, warehouse workers, health workers, and teachers who have been doing in-person essential work and have lost their lives at the higher rates do not deserve a cent of funding that were designed for them. To date, we have not heard of plans for allocations that include them. Respectfully, I ask that you begin a public discussion on an equitable approach to ARPA allocations, as well as an equitable approach to engaging the community on education about these funds. At the same time, engage community residents and local groups that have been part of Calexico's COVID response to collectively develop an equitable plan that meets the community's needs. A coalition of stakeholders has already put forward some possible initiatives, including bonus program for COVID-19 high-risk essential workers, grocery workers, warehouse, healthcare, and farm workers. Downtown infrastructure for essential workers, invest in cooling stations, invest in outreach capacity to increase access to assistance programs, psychiatric emergency response team, invest in a Housing First pilot program. Taking this vote today would be premature. We must talk about community priorities first. Thank you. Daniela Flores, Imperial Valley Equity and Justice Coalition.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll go ahead and open for discussion.
I have questions. Now, you did the research on it. And how could I put it? Is our city council, are we considered employees? Is it something that the councilmen and the post-councilmen are eligible for?
City attorney, with today, I want to acknowledge that we have Attorney Seth Merowitz from BBK with us. City Attorney Carlos Campos conducted the analysis on this matter, and there are other jurisdictions that have considered ARPA compensation for their governing boards as long as there is the proper protocol and procedure done, which is identifying such individuals as essential workers. It's no different than the process that was done back in the month of August and later on, the action taken in November for the city employees. So that addresses your question, Mayor Rosie, former Mayor Rosie. The item as it is written, what the city attorney and what the city manager are seeking is the direction as to how you want this item to be composed and how you want this item to be performed, basically.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I also have some discussion if Rosie is.
Are you
is
done? You done?
Yeah, I'm done with
Okay.
the questions.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Arena.
So, hello? ¿Sí se escucha?
Yes.
Sí?
To speak into it.
So just two brief points related to the topic. The first one is the item is for us to give direction to the city attorney to prepare the resolution so that the city council can consider at a later date to vote yes or no whether or not the council can get paid. I would recommend that we give that direction for that resolution to be made. But based on what I've heard directly from the community, and this is saying as someone that supports the measure, I absolutely think that city council, former and current city council members that have worked during the pandemic absolutely deserve this payment every much as big as any employee. We should give direction to do the resolution, but the people directly have told me we should not take a vote on it until we have our spending, the rest of our ARPA spending priorities straight. Why do they say that? Is because they want to see the work first. I think politically that's the best way this council can handle this, and that's just my recommendation. I want to address a little bit of what Mr. Paddock set up here because it could be ARPA related. Our fire department absolutely has some immediate needs. It has some immediate needs that could create some liability. We should definitely consider which ones of those are ARPA eligible and which ones would be sustainably through sales tax or other more sustainable sources of funding. I know Mr. Figueroa has a plan for those positions that Mr. Paddock has mentioned. But that's essentially what I wanted to say, and I feel like the way that we should handle the ARPA plan, where we will put in the city council pay, it has to be done with the creation of workshops, bilingual workshops, so that we can get some community input. We should do it sooner rather than later. The money comes in July, so by April, we should have a complete package that includes city council pay. And that's what we should vote on. We should vote on it as a whole. Politically, I think that would be better. The citizens have expressed to me, Raul, yes, we support this. The city council should get paid, but they should first think about the people, spend for the people, and then the city council.
Thank you, Ms. Arena. Anybody? Ms. Romo?
Okay, this point is
Señora, dígalo en español si quiere.
is part for ARP, and I agree with the resolution. La resolución ya fue hecha por Campos, ¿no? Es la que está aquí. Okay, thank you. But we need, in my opinion, to start with the information workshops in the future immediately, in my opinion, no? So that organizations and the general public participate in the distribution for the ARPA resources. But this point is únicamente para dar dirección a usted. That's it, ¿no? ¿Vamos a votar o no vamos a votar? No, ¿verdad? No
The way, okay, hold on. Let me answer. It says discussion and possible action. So it's
Okay.
incumbent upon us what kind of action. And this is what we're discussing right
Entonces-
now, and we take your consideration, and we're going to go.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mr. Garcia?
I prefer if I just hear, as it was, as this item was put,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to hear the background. I did get some background from the city manager, but it's not enough for me. So if I can just listen to the background from this item, so I can make my comment at the end. So if I can hear, Mr. Mayor, your take on this,
Okay, sure.
item as you're listed on this item as being proposed by the mayor.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so initially, this was brought up by Mr. Ureña and Mrs. Romo way back when. There was, and I talked to him, and I supported that initially, and so that's what we put it on the
I
agenda.
know.
We talked about that. The other thing also, we need to get focused also, remember, we've been talking about that there is a priority list that Mr. Figueroa is working with staff to address all those matters that Mr. Ureña and the citizens are concerned about. That is a total different matter that we're going to still have ARPA funds, and we're going to use that. And that you're making that list as we speak, right? So, and then we're going to present that to address all those, and then we're going to decide which one's priority we're going to vote on. So that's going to be taken care of down the future. What matters at hand right now is that we have elected officials. In this case, we have former council members who worked through the pandemic, and it clearly says the ARPA. Anybody who worked from March 2020 through June 2021 is entitled to that. And now, what is an essential worker? And I know Ms. Rosa Fernandez brought that up. We consider employees. The ARPA says any essential worker is considered anybody who worked through the pandemic that is considered a resource, in this case, if you want to put a word, employee, who was working through the pandemic and it was essential, in this case, city of Calexico. That's considered essential workers. We were considered essential, and they were considered essential. And we also remember we lost two workers for the pandemic. One of them was, remember him? He died, he passed away. And we also didn't include the former employees. Okay, Mrs. Monica's one of them. She worked here for decades. We had Bobby Ortiz also. We had a farewell party for him. He's also considered an essential employee. And did he get paid? Okay, but that's a different matter. Where we're here is us, City Council. Okay, based on what I read, I know Mr. Campos did an extensive research on that, and we are qualified. Okay, so the matter here is, what do we move forward? Okay, now, Mr. Ureña has said we'd rather wait till July. That, for me, I'm not going to wait for July. Okay, because we have two city council members who worked their butt off, and they're here. And I think they deserve it tomorrow, as opposed to July, as well as the other employees who will work. So, but that's a matter we're going to have to vote on, okay? But we need to be focused on what's matter here. So I would, based on what I know, I would propose even make a motion to approve it.
Yeah, second.
Based on that, Mr. Garcia?
Well, to me, I don't see any backup as to designating the city council as essential workers or even employees. I know there's some information here, but I don't see the research that was done. And it's not that I doubt, but it's not on this agenda or any backup that was emailed to us. So that, to me, I still have to see it. So then also, there were some comments, especially the one from Ms. Flores. And she's talking about formulating a plan for allocating these funds, which we haven't gotten. I know Miguel has been working on that, but another point that resonated in that comment was that, we need to have a priority list, community first. And I know we're part of the community, but I don't think, we should be the ones putting ourselves first. I think we should be putting our public, our citizens first. Just to be congruent with our message that has been put out there many times, that we're here for the community, that we are looking out for the underserved, the ones that were in the front lines. But I think, now we're putting ourselves up in the front of the line. Then also, we're talking about workshops for the community. And I agree with that also, because when you engage the community, you get a lot of feedback and a lot of good ideas as to how to make best use of this money within the guidelines. We all know what's going on with our city. Our infrastructure is crumbling down. And it doesn't take much, but either drive or walk around our city. Over these past few weeks, this couple of weeks, I did walk around most of the city, almost daily, walking around, almost 5 miles every day. And in every street, there was a street that was patched because, the lines, the sewer lines were dug out and replaced. And also in previous meetings, we had a few, citizens coming out concerned about those issues, about the quality of life, the quality of our air because of, dirt being exposed. So, and we know that part of that, the ARPA funding, states that it can be for infrastructure, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I think we need to look at those things. We need to look at downtown. We need to look at, how can we spend this money? How can we maximize the use of this money and impact the almost 40,000 residents of Calexico? Not that 8 council members. I understand that, we were also in the front lines. We were engaging with the residents. We were responding to their concerns. And that's okay, but I think that's what we put ourselves for. I appreciate the work that has been done by all the council members. I appreciate the work that has been done. But I don't think, at least not in my case, I don't think when I was doing this, I know that when I was doing this, I wasn't thinking about getting compensated. But that's just my take. Each and every one of you has their own take. I respect that. But then also, if we provide direction, to the city manager to prepare a resolution, this is money that has been spent on creating the resolution. And legal services coming at a premium pay. We all know that. So, if we're just going to look into this to consider that for a vote, and maybe if it doesn't pass, then we just spend the money that we didn't have to. Now, I do agree that we have to go back and create a plan to spend this money. And remember, time is of the essence. This money is attached to a very, very strict timeline also. So what I want to propose actually, is that the city manager in our next regular council meeting, for him to come back with an expenditure plan for the ARPA money with priorities, or for us at least to consider different priority list of these items, so we can go ahead and spend it. Other cities, because we're citing that other cities have approved this, have approved that. Let me use that quote also. Other cities have already allocated their monies. Other cities, have presented, city managers have presented their city councils with different options. In fact, there were some cities that they had a very ambitious plan where their potential plans of expenditure double the total allocation that they received from ARPA, just to have options as to how to spend and how to maximize their resources. So I think that's what I would like to see. That's the direction that I would like to give. For the city manager to come back with a plan that we can look at, whether it's fixing our infrastructure that is aging. How many times have we heard that our sewer, our water, our downtown, it's old. In our own facilities, for God's sakes. We have our parking lots from our own facilities, library, community center, our own, fire stations. Our community center, you go inside, the tiles haven't been replaced since, got rain. So, again, we have all these needs, and we're thinking about how can we determine or put ourselves as essential workers so we can get this compensation. So I just think that the impact wouldn't be as much as probably investing, and I say investing, not spending, but investing this money for the benefit of our entire community. I think the impact could be bigger, and that's what the community, that's what our citizens deserve. That's what the intent, and not just the intent, but the action should be on this item. not on putting ourselves as if we can be eligible for this compensation. So I do agree with all these comments, but more with the plan that we have to formulate and act on it, because we're running out of time.
Mr. Mayor.
So again, my direction, or at least my opinion on that is that we should give direction to formulate, to come back on the first meeting of our regular meeting on the 19th, to come back with a potential spending plan for the ARPA funds, with options, priorities, and act on it. But even leaving this item out, compensation for the city council.
Okay, so hold on, so before I forget, this document was prepared by legal counsel, okay? And for the matter of record, we are essential. And it says right here, okay, for those people that say we're not essential, we're not employees, eligible workers are those who are needed to maintain essential critical infrastructure sectors, including the employees of the city of Calexico. Essential work is anybody involved in regular in-person interactions of physically handling. That's me, that's city council. So why are we even saying we're not essential workers? The other thing also is that, remember, this is going to be it's not going to be mandatory. Mr. Ureña, everybody up here, you don't have to take the money. It's all involuntarily, okay? Just similar to what we did with the stipend. If you don't want to take it, leave it, okay? But it's going to be upon us if you want to take it or not. It's simple. It's not mandatory. It's voluntarily. But again, if you have any legal questions, Mr. Seth here, I believe it was prepared by a legal counsel, and we are considered essential workers.
So, Mayor, if I may just clarify a couple of points so we can all have the same information. By no means what you have before you is an item in which there is an expectation for an action to be taken tonight, because you don't have a resolution.
No.
Right.
Because there has to be a separate resolution drafted. I believe a council member mentioned it.
Yeah.
There has to be a separate resolution drafted with the terms that this council decides. Because if the direction is the same terms as employees, that's one option.
All right.
If you folks determine that you want different terms, that is the feedback that legal and myself need if we are to receive direction to proceed with the item.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that I did want to clarify, and we're here. We're here. We're taking notes as to what it is that you folks wish to direct us on. I was very clear right now. I think Mr. Garcia was very clear as to a direction he's given. I would obviously entertain everybody else to do the same and in unison give us direction as to what you guys want.
Sure. And stay focused on the item.
Yeah.
Could I say something?
So, Ureña, go ahead.
Mayor,
No más rápido.
Mayor,
Yes.
okay, you brought a good thing. I feel, like you said, whoever wants to take it could take it. We either vote yes or no. If it go through with yes, then if we don't want to take it, we leave it. That's my recommendation.
I absolutely agree with what Ms. Arriola Fernandez says. Just to make things better, I think no one's necessarily wrong here. I think the only erroneous statement is that we're not eligible. We definitely are eligible. I think the best way to do this, and I do have a motion attached to this, is to make that recommendation for them to make the resolution. I know for a fact that Miguel Figueroa, with the laundry list of necessities, can double, triple, quadruple ARPA spending allocations with the necessities that we do have. And that plan can be made rather quickly, if I'm not mistaken. We want to allot at least a month's time for community workshops, as were mentioned by other council people. But any way you cut it, this city council payment comes relatively quickly. But I think we do have some due diligence, and the people have asked for it, and I say this as a supporter of Mr. Mayor's measure. They absolutely support it, but the people don't want us to put ourselves first. They want to see the plan that we have created. I think Mr. Risen and Mr. Hodge, they would be okay with a payment in May, as opposed to a couple weeks from now.
My question is, talk about the infrastructure. You didn't talk about that with 123 employees that gave the money to.
Of course,
You didn't talk about that.
and I absolutely agree with the cap and everything. So I would like to make a motion or direction. I don't know if direction requires motion. To see-
Mr. Ureña, just allow Mr. Hodge to just say before we make the
Sí,
motion, please?
adelante.
Just because you know he's got
Thank you,
something to
Mr.
say.
Yes.
I want you to entertain a different perspective or argument on this. Everything that Councilman Garcia and you and Flores has said, I totally agree. But I want you to think in terms of correcting a wrong. When you were given the opportunity to be compensated for your hard work as a council, and the qualifications are there, as Mr. Mayor has pointed out, you should have included the former council members. I say today, correct that wrong. Include us now, and then what money we have, we can allocate that for the community and the other essential workers. But correct that wrong, include us. You should have included us the day, I don't know how long ago that was, but when you voted, but it wasn't done. So please correct that and allow the former council members that worked our butts off to be included in this. Because I know the bureaucracy and the time, and then, I mean, if you put us in with the public, it's gonna be a long time until we get some of that money. And I think we deserve it, just as much as you do, and the ones that said, you know, that you wanted to take it. So, because you expedited with speed on your vote, and so I say today, correct that wrong and include the former council members of 2019, 2020, 2021, and let us be a part of that. Don't exclude us, because we're former council members also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonia, go ahead.
I think it's just a two-step motion I want to make. The first one is...
Can I, Councilmember Ureña, so we can all be clear, the direction that we get does require a motion and a majority vote, so we know exactly what it is that we're going to be moving forward with.
Okay.
So
Sure.
just
And-
for the record.
And we're still dialoguing right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I will make a motion to direct legal staff to create the resolution.
Ya está
That's
creado.
the first motion.
Ya se creó.
No está creada. Esta es dirección para crearla, no? It hasn't been created.
No, but whatever direction is provided, we'll have to go through a formal vote.
Of course.
So we know what the council desires for us to move forward.
¿Dijo que sí?
No, acaba de decir que no. It hasn't been created. The motion I'm stating, just to be very clear, that motion that is on the agenda has not been created.
Campos created.
You folks determine what that motion is going to be.
Right.
No. The question is different. Ms. Romo is confused. So I need you to be very clear. This motion to create this resolution, the resolution has not been created yet.
No, it hasn't.
No se ha hecho.
So you're going to
So
vote on it?
I'm making a motion to direct legal staff to create the resolution on the agenda. And later, we will decide when to put it on the agenda. Y el señor alcalde, dile que venga a votar. Is there a second to that motion?
So we're going to item
If
two.
I may,
Yes.
I believe
Council-
there is also, so since we're not here, I believe there is also a comment before we go for the motion. So we're still in the comment section.
Sí, as long as Mr. Mayor allows it.
Yeah, but he was out, so I preside when he's not in.
That's true.
Ok, Mayor. ¿Quiere que haga comentarios, joven?
Sorry about that. Okay, so we're waiting on the, you already,
Tiene que
My-
pedir permiso.
Yeah,
si
okay.
quiere
You
que-
have something to say?
Estamos en comentarios.
Sorry, just really fast, I didn't say I was up here, but yeah, we do support, you guys came in the pandemic too, we would definitely support that as well. But also, as well, we had a fireman who worked the entire COVID and he left the department a couple months ago, but a couple months before that came in, so, I mean, he spoke today. Anybody that contributed, yes, we would agree with that too. just wanted, I didn't say that when I came up here, so I just wanted to keep that in there, we support that, so.
Well, I think there's a lot of legal questions, a lot of parameters, ramifications, where I have to go through all that eventually, but I think what's essential here, what direction we're gonna give the city
Yes.
the city manager. We can talk about how we're gonna formulate it, whether if it's July, tomorrow, the next day, but we're still gonna get through that. As long as we keep working towards it, right? Because I think we got to be equity, everybody's fair, and we're gonna address those issues, where that somebody gets it because he laughed, and all that stuff, right? So, it's important.
I agree with that, Mr. Mayor, so this is my motion. My motion is to direct legal staff to create the resolution on the agenda. That is my motion. We can, like you said, we can later decide when to put it on the agenda, but for right now, it's important this resolution gets done. My motion is to create the resolution. Is there a
Creo que hay
second?
una confusión.
Okay, but the
No
item
hay
is,
razón de ser hacer todo esto
okay.
si no has creado una resolution. O sea, te vamos a dar dirección para que hagas una resolución. ¿De veras?
The elements of the resolution.
Eso ya lo debiste de haber hecho. El mayor lo pidió desde cuándo.
Pero,
Okay.
pero ocupa un voto formal, es lo que está
Yo
diciendo.
es la primera pregunta que hice cuando empezó la reunión y dijo Miguel, no se va a votar.
The thing is that, no,
No entendí eso.
what we need to vote on is on the direction that you are giving me, because the resolution, you folks let us know what the resolution will
Okay,
be
so this is what I'm
comprised.
gonna do, make it easier. I'm gonna read it like it is, and
¿Para qué lo ponen en la agenda?
Okay, I'll make a motion, read it the way it is, and you work on the details.
No,
No?
no.
Va a ser ridículo.
No, because there's a motion on the floor, right?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
There's a motion.
so the
Let-
motion?
let me make it very clear. Let me make it very, very clear. I make a motion to provide legal direction to staff to create the resolution that includes former city council members and current city council members for the ARPA premium pay bonus. Is there a second?
Well, actually, we also had employees who passed away. We also have
And-
employees who
And you
And
have former
employees that
employees.
passed
who
away.
reached retirement age and they
Ya
left, so.
ponerlo en la agenda.
Councilmember
Six,
Ureña,
Yes.
my question
No
to
tienes
you would
para
be,
pasar.
on that resolution, what is the expectation as it pertains to the term and compensation?
Compensation,
Because that is what's gonna make up the resolution, that's why we're here today.
Well, the
so we can get
compensation
that
was the
direction.
amount we agreed to, which is 7. I think we gave everybody that.
it would
That's
be,
the
would it,
compensation.
is it possible to include equal hourly rate for council? Is that all you need, or do you need a specific hour amount
Right.
for the council?
I think you guys have a good example in what was addressed here in the month of November for city employees, in
Right.
which there was an up to amount. And let's not forget that this is all based on hours worked, okay?
Of course.
I personally feel that if this it has to, you have to go back to, from day to day. I mean, how could somebody get paid for the whole? I mean, that's something that, legal has to work on.
Miss, well, I'll just make it easy. The same as the city employees. The same cap. Is there a second?
Same amount?
No,
Okay.
same cap, but it would be based on hours worked, which we would have much less hours worked.
Which is what we did with the, yeah, as us. That's the motion on the floor?
As
Ok,
a motion,
otra
is there a
vez,
second?
Repeat for me, please, la motion.
La moción es crear
No
una,
es, ya sé.
crear una resolución que nos dé un pago equitativo a lo que se les dio a los empleados basado en las horas que nosotros hemos trabajado para los ex miembros del cabildo, los miembros del cabildo del presente y los empleados que han muerto a causa de COVID en esta pandemia.
Y que no sea, que sea voluntario, que lo acepte y
Que sea
no mandar
voluntario.
Y sí, obviamente sería
voluntarily,
voluntario.
not mandated.
A ver, no. No me gusta que confundan las cosas, Miguel.
Did everybody get paid the same base pay, the whole 123 employees?
It was based on hours worked.
Hours worked, yeah.
No había razón de poner un asunto de esta naturaleza en la agenda si usted no tiene una resolución, con todo respeto. O sea, si el señor Campos ya se le había dicho si esto se iba a poner en la agenda, se debió, ahorita está para discutirse. Ahorita estamos diciendo que le vamos a dar a usted dirección para que apenas haga la resolución. Ok, eso es lo que estoy entendiendo. Mire, yo le voy a decir una cosa. El ARPA la gente lo tiene que entender, y lo tengo que decir en español porque hay mucha gente que no entiende qué es el ARPA. Es para precisamente toda la gente que trabajó en pandemia, toda la gente esencial. Y no nomás los empleados de Calexico, se lo hemos dicho miles de veces, así lo dice. No nomás los City Council, toda la gente que trabajó en pandemia. Vamos a estarlo mirando, nadie está diciendo que no se les va a dar a las personas. Simple y sencillamente esta es una pequeña parte nada más. Vamos a seguir trabajando, como dijo el concejal ahorita hace ratito, ¿verdad? Que vamos a tener que ver la manera de podernos extender rápidamente en qué vamos a gastar los ingresos. Pero ahorita, este punto, lo más importante es ver que le demos a usted dirección, nada más. Entonces, me había dicho que no se iba a votar. Ahora está diciendo que sí se va a votar.
La dirección.
La dirección se va a votar,
Sí,
perfecto.
sí. Esta es una dirección especial
Ok.
que ocupa un voto, ¿verdad? Esta es una dirección especial que ocupa un voto.
Ok, entonces ya dijo usted la moción, entonces yo la puedo secundar con mucho gusto.
Okay. So we'll do a roll call on the vote. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Ureña?
City Clerk, give me the second.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Can I just clarify the direction
Okay.
to
Thank
legal
you.
counsel? If I understand, and please excuse me if I didn't catch it all.
Okay.
But
No worries.
your,
Thank you.
Councilmember Urania, your motion, which has been seconded, is to direct legal counsel to create a resolution that would provide premium pay for council members, former former employees, and employees who've passed away during the eligible period,
Not former employees during the pandemic and deceased.
and deceased.
And
That's
deceased.
correct.
Former
And
employees.
then secondly, it would be the same provisions as was given to city employees up to the 7,000 based on hours worked.
Correct.
And also,
Y el
it's
que
not
quiera.
going to be mandatory, it's going to be voluntary,
That-
whoever
that's-
wishes to.
That's a given. You don't have to.
Right, that's a given, right,
accept
okay.
it.
Okay.
Right. But did I capture those pieces that you're voting on?
That is correct.
Yes.
Correcto.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And again, make it clear, it's voluntary.
It's
Whoever
voluntary.
wants it could take it, who doesn't want it, doesn't have to take it.
Correcto.
Roll call vote?
Roll call.
Councilmember Ureña?
Aye.
Councilmember Romo?
Aye.
Mayor Moreno?
Aye?
Mayor Protem Garcia?
No, and I just want the citizens to see if we're being congruent with the message. Thank you. It's no.
Councilmember Arreola Fernandez?
I abstain.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's the last item, and we're moved to adjourn at 6:25 or 6:23? Anybody
Six.
second that?
22.
Second?
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.